All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to unpack a truly astonishing story in detail. We're looking at how a 14th century mystic discovered what honestly might be the ultimate antidote to our modern anxiety epidemic. I mean, what if I told you that one woman survived the plague, extreme isolation, near death, and total societal collapse, and yet somehow emerged with a highly effective framework for profound inner peace? Well, we're going to explore exactly how she did it. So, Julian of Norwich, a woman who had literally just survived the Black Death, famously wrote, "All shall be well, and all shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well." This profound sentence absolutely wasn't spoken from a place of comfort or after a relaxing week at some modern wellness retreat. She wasn't pushing some fake, forced positivity. She was speaking from the absolute depths of profound suffering.
And the contrast here is just staggering. Julian lived in a world where literal death carts rolled through the streets daily and society was entirely collapsing. Yet today we spiral into severe, heart-pounding anxiety because we were left on read or someone got our coffee order wrong. It makes you wonder, how did she build one of the calmest minds in human history amidst absolute chaos, while we are just constantly overwhelmed by these minor, modern inconveniences? To answer that, this explainer is going to cover 5 key areas: the ultimate paradox, the modern anxiety epidemic, the root of suffering, a highly detailed 5-step framework, and finally, the illusion of control.
Starting right off with Section 1, the ultimate paradox, love over fear.
During a severe, near-death illness, Julian experienced a series of profound visions. And instead of letting the trauma of her era harden her, she documented these experiences in a remarkable book called Revelations of Divine Love. Here's the core paradox. During a dark medieval era where systems basically controlled people entirely through guilt and the constant threat of doom, she emerged with this completely revolutionary realization. She declared that love, not fear, is the deepest structure of reality. She proposed that humanity isn't cursed or fundamentally broken, but rather deeply and profoundly loved. Just imagine making that claim right in the middle of the plague.
Let's move on to Section 2, the modern anxiety epidemic and the neuroscience of overload.
Fast forward to today, and we've got more convenience than ever, but way less inner peace. Our current nervous systems are completely overloaded, just constantly bombarded by notifications, social media comparison, and relentless information warfare. Our biological hardware simply wasn't built for the digital age. You see, your brain was designed by evolution to survive lions, not to process 700 different opinions before breakfast. This biological survival mechanism is known as the negativity bias. Your nervous system is literally wired to prioritize perceiving danger over experiencing peace, because, well, evolution rewards survival, not happiness. Because of this negativity bias, your amygdala acts as this constant blaring alarm system, endlessly scanning your environment for 6 specific threats: rejection, uncertainty, threat, embarrassment, failure, and loss. And get this, your brain literally treats emotional pain, like one piece of online criticism, with the exact same intensity as a physical danger.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is that when modern life keeps triggering this evolutionary alarm, like every single time you look at your phone, you actually become biochemically addicted to anxiety. Over time, those stress hormones become your familiar baseline. Chaos becomes your identity. Overthinking turns into a personality trait. You get so used to the noise that true calm and silence start to feel terrifyingly uncomfortable.
This brings us to Section 3, the root of suffering, amplifying the pain.
Julian discovered something that modern psychology is really just now validating. While pain is an inevitable part of life, our suffering is massively amplified by our deep mental resistance to that pain. We've got to clearly distinguish between helplessness and surrender. Julian practiced radical surrender, which is entirely different from the nihilistic despair of helplessness. Helplessness is throwing your hands up and saying, "Oh well, nothing matters." But surrender says, "I'm going to stop fighting the reality of what's happening right now so that I can actually respond to it wisely."
To really explain this feeling of surrender, she used a brilliant metaphor. She described seeing the entire fragile universe as a tiny little hazelnut sitting right in the palm of a hand. while a fearful mind perceives existence as incredibly hostile and chaotic. Julian perceived existence as being fundamentally held, protected, and sustained purely by love.
And wow, this brilliantly illustrates exactly what modern trauma therapy tells us today. The human nervous system simply cannot heal, grow, or find peace when it's trapped in a chronic state of invisible survival mode. We only truly heal when we experience a foundational sense of safety, that deeply felt sense that, just like that hazelnut, we are ultimately held and we are okay.
Let's transition to Section 4, the 5-step framework, defeating inner chaos.
So how do we practically apply this ancient wisdom to our completely overloaded modern brains? By synthesizing Julian's insights with modern cognitive behavioral therapy, we get this highly detailed, actionable 5-step framework. Let's walk through these steps right now, starting with how to deal with the immediate onset of panic. Step 1 requires us to interrupt the fear story using a technique called cognitive diffusion. Remember, your fearful brain automatically predicts catastrophe. So instead of asking, "What is wrong with me?" you create some psychological distance by asking, "Okay, what story is my mind creating right now?" You start observing your thoughts as automated predictions rather than just accepting them as absolute truths.
Then for Step 2, you must prioritize regulating your physical nervous system. Trying to think yourself out of an anxious spiral is literally like trying to iron clothes during an earthquake. It doesn't work. You absolutely cannot outthink a brain that is locked in survival mode. You have to use your body to calm your mind through slow breathing, silence, walking, or even splashing cold water on your face. Step 3 is about stopping our unconscious worship of worst-case scenarios. If you constantly rehearse disaster in your head, you're literally training your nervous system to expect it. Julian teaches radical trust, which is far superior to fragile, naive optimism. Optimism falsely promises that nothing bad will ever happen, but radical trust confidently states, even if difficulty happens, I have the resilience to meet it. Step 4 highlights the incredible alchemy of human resilience. As the famous psychiatrist Viktor Frankl later discovered, humans can survive enormous pain if we can just find profound meaning within it. Without meaning, pain is just despair. But Julian showed us that meaning transforms suffering into awakening. The wound actually becomes the wisdom. And Step 5 demands that we return to the present moment. Think about it. Fear almost always lives in imagined futures that haven't even happened yet. And regret lives in a past you can't change. The mental fragmentation of living anywhere but right now is exactly what actively generates your anxiety. Peace only lives here, in this room, in this heartbeat, now.
Finally, we reach Section 5, the illusion of control, the great paradox.
Let's confront the great paradox that completely rewires how we interact with life. The paradox is this: the more desperately humans try to control life, the more anxious they become. Why? Because life is fundamentally uncertain, and that uncertainty absolutely terrifies the ego. True emotional mastery isn't about demanding certainty or stubbornly trying to control reality. It's about fundamentally transforming your relationship to the reality that is unfolding right in front of you.
I'll leave you with this really provocative thought to chew on. Peace is not found by eliminating all uncertainty. Peace is found by developing a deeper center than fear. What if the calmest, most peaceful people on Earth aren't the ones who somehow managed to curate perfect, stress-free lives, but simply the ones who finally stopped fighting reality every single second? What would happen if you stopped fighting yours?